All right, so it is 5:30, so we're going to get started. Call the meeting to order, and then do we need an official roll call? Roll call. Do you do that, Kurt? Nope, I guess that's
I can
me.
do it.
Do it? Okay,
Sure.
great.
Carr,
Yes.
Fairweather,
Yes.
Fiskus,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Sayer.
Yes.
All right, moving right along, agenda item number 2 is the minutes from the 10/7/25 meeting. Did everyone have an opportunity to review them?
I did. I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Carr,
Yes.
Fairweather,
Yes.
Fiskus,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Sayer.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is old business, of which it says none. I'd like to just add one point to that, which is that at the last meeting, we discussed not moving forward with anything that pertains to term limits or recall until we heard back from the ethics, Ohio Ethics, and we have received that notice that I am clear to have those conversations. So I'm sure if you want to read the very dry report as to why that's true, Alan will provide it for you. But let's see, I do think there is a summary. Based upon the charter and the information you have provided, the Charter Commission is not a public agency under RC 10201, and Ms. Fiskus is not a public official or employee under RC 10201. Therefore, RC 102.03 does not apply to her in this situation, and the ethics law would not prohibit her from fully participating as a member of the Charter Commission in discussions involving the proposals for term limits and recall provisions. So again, if you'd like to read that full report, I'm sure you can do a records request for that, but that is the majority of it. Any questions from anyone?
Could have been different if the Charter Commission expended more than 10,000 per calendar year and the members got paid.
Well, now that we
Yeah.
got Sayer's salary, we're going to be over.
Whatever.
All right, moving right along to new business. 2 items on the agenda for today. The first is to establish a regular meeting schedule. We have a pretty tight timeline to get through a lot of these changes. If you take a look at the timing and submission to Board of Education's handout that Alan just gave us, it says that anything we want to submit needs to be turned into the Board of Elections by August 5th, 2026. So if we are only meeting monthly, that does not actually give us a whole lot of time, considering the large number of items that we have on our list to address. So I think monthly meetings, and then if we need to call additional, we could always do that, but it would be great if we could set up some sort of reoccurring schedule so that we can meet perhaps at 5:30 on whatever first Tuesday or whatever makes the most sense. Any thoughts on that? Any recommendations?
So, I mean, council would have to prepare an ordinance to pass based on your recommendations. You have to put forth your written recommendations, and then council has to adopt those into an ordinance form.
Is
and
that
get passed by, the last time they did 3 readings
Yep.
of the ordinance. So that moves
June?
it
We're
back
looking at
even a
June,
little
right?
further, right?
Yeah, early June, to be safe.
I think the ordinance the last time was passed on July 18th, so the readings would have been, probably started in April maybe.
Yeah.
First one in April, I think.
So we have very little time to actually accomplish this. Great, sounds good. Okay, so do we need to consider twice monthly meetings?
And just as a reminder too, because of the way our charter or the rules presently read for a commission like this, you know, if you're unavailable in person, you can participate by phone. So that's an option for anybody if it's going to be a tight schedule to get here for any particular meetings.
Input, thoughts?
I think 5:30 is great, and I think, yeah, if we want to do, so we're not overshadowing council.
How does Wednesday sound, like first and third Wednesday?
I'm trying to remember if they have group stuff next door here on Tuesday and Wednesdays, I think, right? In that room.
Okay. Tuesday and Wednesday, what about Thursdays?
Thursday, I have a conflict because of CMAT, once a month.
So we can't do,
Well, I should be fine, 5:30 to 6:30, so long as we stay on that timeline.
so, okay. So first and third Thursdays, is that what we are thinking makes the most sense?
This end is retired, so we're good.
You're the smart ones.
So are you thinking to do a meeting already on the 18th of December,
No, I would propose that we start this in January.
January? Okay.
So that would put,
January
actually
1st.
January 1st. So that would put us on the 15th of January as our first meeting. And we can still do 2 in January because there are 3 Thursdays in January of next year. So we could do 15th and 29th, and then,
I'm going to be gone the 29th.
okay, so we can do the 15th. And then starting in February.
I mean, if you want to
5th
do one
and
on the
19th.
29th, that's fine. I don't necessarily need to be here for all the
Yeah,
discussion,
I
but,
think you do need
Yeah.
to be here.
okay.
So we will start with January 15th.
Or do you want to do the 8th and the 22nd maybe in January?
Does that work for everyone else?
The 8th and 15th,
8th and 22nd.
8th and 22nd, okay?
So 8th and 22nd in January, and then beginning in February, we can flip to the 1st and 3rd week. And that puts us on 5th and 19th. Same for March, and then just moving forward. Do we need a motion to officially accept that, or are we good?
I have a question before we do that.
Yeah.
So what's the, if something comes up and one of us, how many people have to be here to have a meeting?
Just a quorum, so as long as there's 3.
Okay.
Is there not a city council meeting on the 5th?
It's a Thursday,
Oh, okay.
January 5th there
January
is, but January 8th is our
Oh, yeah.
first meeting.
January
Charter.
8th, and then February 5th.
Okay. I'm looking.
Thursday.
Works.
That works?
Yeah, I was looking at December.
Okay.
Should be fine.
Okay. Moving right along, we have review of current charter for possible changes and additions. At the last meeting, pull up those notes. We sent Alan off with a lot of homework. Did you have any possible language to pass back to us at this one, or should we?
I thought we'd just kind of discuss it. I know the mayor talked about the authority in the charter relative to hiring and firing. And I mean, one of the last council meeting, one of the council members brought it up. And really the charter right now provides the mayor with authority, for hiring, firing of employees, but it's not the exclusive authority. The city council has the authority under the current charter to, create positions in the city and also assign their duties, which can include hiring and firing. And that's kind of what they've done so far in creating the city administrator position under the employee handbook. I think the powers are given to directors, city administrator, and mayor to, suspend, discipline employees also. So there's like a couple different areas where it's set forth, not in the charter specifically, but by assignment by the current council. So the question is, one, do you want to change the form of government, and require a city administrator or city manager kind of form? I don't know that, in a city this size, if you want to do strong mayor is the other option, but it's more of a full-time mayor and would have to be a resident of the city and have to be ready to take this on full-time, so.
I don't know that we are big enough, I mean, how many cities of our size operate? Is that common with a strong mayor?
Not really. Not for something of this size.
Can you, for the sake of my memory and notes, can you repeat what you just said? Who has, you said that the way the charter reads is that the mayor has the ability to hire and fire, is that correct?
Yeah, so if you go to the charter, if you have it in front of you, under section 5, executive powers, provides the mayor, chief executive officer, supervise the administration of the municipality's affairs, but then you go down to the mayor has the power or have the power, subject to confirmation by a majority of the members of council, to appoint, promote, transfer, reduce, or remove any officer or employee of the municipality except those required by the charter to be elected.
So, I'm sorry, so you said that the mayor has the ability to hire and fire, but that is only subject to confirmation from council?
Correct.
So there isn't a contradiction in there. It doesn't say it in two different places, where the mayor has the ability, but then the mayor has the ability with subject to confirmation from council.
Right, the mayor's authority is with council confirmation
To hire, fire, create positions.
to appoint, promote, transfer, reduce, or remove any officer or employee of the municipality.
And can you compare that for us then to what the city administrator can currently do?
Well, let me go back to the powers of council is under Article 3. It's Section 8 under their powers. 8B, in the power to create offices and departments, the municipality is herein provided, and such additional offices and departments the council by ordinance or resolution finds to be necessary, and the power to fix the duties, bonds, and compensation for all department officers and officials.
So council can create offices, departments, and then set what they do and what their compensation is,
Correct.
but they cannot on their own fire someone.
Correct. The charter, the way it's set up, as most are, and even under the municipal or revised code, generally municipal forms of government, the city council is a legislative body, not an administrative body.
So how does this compare to what the city administrator can do?
Let me see if I can pull that up here. So the administrator position, if I remember correctly, was created maybe back in 1980 range. They also switched at that time. There was like the form of government at that time was more like the clerk, treasurer type position, and they kind of switched that to separate finance director. But so the administrator's authority is as set forth in Ordinance 12301 is to direct and/or supervise the administration of all departments, offices, and agencies of the city, including but not limited to departments of finance, safety, and service, and develop policies for their operation if necessary. Hire, suspend, discipline, and dismiss city employees, enter into development agreements, execute contracts as provided by ordinances, investigate, examine, or inquire into the affairs or operations of any department, division, officer, employee, or appoint somebody to conduct an investigation, prepare and submit the budget and any capital programs in coordination with the finance director, and assist in the implementation of the final budget as approved by city council, attend council meetings, make recommendations to city council concerning the affairs of the city. promote the city of Maumee and encourage cooperation among employees, council staff, and citizens, and any other authorities as may be granted by ordinance, resolution, or motions of city council.
What was the number on that again?
123.01. So it was updated in 22. And I don't have what the ordinance was before, but,
But you're speaking of an ordinance and not the charter.
right, that's
We have
ordinance form.
no input on that at all,
Correct.
But could-
unless we want to amend the charter.
And add an administrator position
Right.
and sign it in the charter itself,
Correct.
which, as things come up, you just have to look at everything as what impact would it have? I mean, currently the administrator, obviously there's, a number of, large majority, I think, of the city employees are under union contract or civil service. They got a different set of rules as to hiring, firing, they have to follow anyway, so it's a limited number of people that are really subject to that authority. So, and generally, you need I guess I would call it a boss at work. It's somebody that has some kind of authority, and but that's more of a council question ultimately, I think.
Yeah.
Unless the charter commission wants to take it on and add a provision in the charter, and then you would just have to determine who sets the powers. Are you going to set it in the charter itself, or are you going to still leave that up to city council to do?
But the main positions that you're speaking about are directors, administrative positions, not union positions.
Right.
And so for us to be getting into that, right now, it reads that the mayor can make recommendations that council has to approve. So
Correct.
they're pretty much protected under our charter now.
And it's kind of a cumbersome process, and it's,
To try to
If it-
change it, you're going to have all kinds of issues with unions that you don't need to be going down.
well, and if it has to be brought to council, then, the particular employee, becomes a public record aired on YouTube as to what's going on and why they're getting terminated or whatever. And that's one of the things where, it's better to handle internally if you can, to avoid that
So,
type of public forum for discipline.
so there still seems to be contradictions in this here, though. So the city administrator can hire, discipline, fire, et cetera, employees. But then the mayor also has the ability, subject to confirmation from council, which to me feels like a weird, I don't even, it gives the city administrator more power than the mayor or council because he does not need to subject anything for approval to anything. And I do agree with you, unions, there are a myriad complications here to consider. However, there is also a difference between other city like directors and whatnot, individuals in higher offices within the city that are working as part of the city administration structure. And it feels like that's where there could be some additional layers of checks and balances or protection so that it does not just fall to one person or it cannot be a threat that is held over someone's head.
Yeah, I think they would just change their amendment, council, change their ordinance.
Because, department directors still have that authority also. And, if it's public service director, would have the ability to initiate discipline. But again, that one's probably going to be more union contract related. Like I said, a lot of the civil service ones are going to be civil service related. If it's like a police chief, fire chief, any of those type of positions, obviously that's not going to happen through the administrator. And it hasn't been a thing. I'm not sure through the prior administration, in the past administrations, how many people got fired by the administrator, if any.
None.
So you just said, so the director, so let's say the public service director, the finance director, they have the ability to discipline
And terminate.
and terminate.
It's in the employee
Without-
handbook, right?
without consult from the city administrator or any, they can just do that?
Correct. And again, it's not a thing, doesn't happen, but again, it's, like I said, the public service director is bound by the union contract, so he couldn't walk in and just say, you're out of here. You know, he would have to follow a process, you know, as set forth in the contract, and more of a disciplinary process and have a reason. Obviously, unless they were still in their probationary period. So it allows them, if they have an employee that's in their probationary period, they're not working out, they can let them go, basically, without going to council, saying, we're letting this person go during their probationary period, we want council's approval. And then, like I said, it becomes more of a public forum for that person in their future, which isn't, like I said, the ideal way to handle those type of situations.
Right, but I do think that there is a big difference here. And again, maybe this is not the forum to solve this problem, but it does feel strange to me that without any sort of secondary approval, I mean, if only for the safety of, or for protection of the city, that is like a lawsuit waiting to happen. So you're going to terminate someone, let's say it is permitted per however their contract is set up. That particular director can just make that decision without it reaching the mayor or reaching the city administrator. Like you said
Yeah.
at the last meeting, where does the buck stop? HR should be involved in that, but we are in the process of filling that position. Like and again, this probably doesn't need to go in the charter, but if we're making recommendations to council, some sort of ordinance that addresses this.
Having worked in HR for UPS for a number of years, HR is not involved in those decisions. They can give input along with the law director to make sure you're not having legal problems. The issue you run into with this is if you make it that council has to approve, then everything comes out in public. And I can give you some stories while I was mayor of terminations that we had to do that you would cringe as to why they were terminated. And put that out in the public, we probably would get sued then by the employees for making it public. There's some real issues that you get into. This has never been a problem. I think we're trying to fix something that's not been a problem.
So I know this is not an apples to apples comparison, but school board approves all hirings and firings. They have that final say. And there are pieces of, public records requests that are redacted for that very reason. So, and we can do that, That
Council
can
approves
be-
all the hires.
Right, okay. But we also, I'm not suggesting that every single person, that the reason or et cetera, that should be put before council to approve hiring or firing. Seems like council already approves hiring, I hear that. But it does feel like there is a conflict within here if you're saying that all of these different people have the ability to fire someone, and the one person who does not have the ability to just fire someone without confirmation is the mayor. Where is that secondary level?
Because the mayor oversees the administrators. And so if the administrator is going to do something like that, they're going to go through the mayor.
So why wouldn't the same structure be in place for the directors of the different departments? Why wouldn't they have to then have
Because
a secondary?
They do. The secondary is they're going to have to go to the mayor before they do it because they report to the mayor.
So is that spelled out in the charter or any of the ordinances?
No, it's just the way the city operates, any city operates, that, if the administrator went around, just started firing people for whatever reason, and some of them were illegal purposes, potential violations of law, those kind of things, they would probably be the ones to be terminated themselves. So there's always that issue, and they're always, at least the people that have that authority are cognizant of the limitations on their authority because of, age, sex, other types of discrimination that could occur that are always examined, in full before anything really happens. And like I said, the mayor's not here 24/7. The administrator generally is here, 5 to 7 days a week, depending on who comes in. The directors, everybody is here directly seeing how their employees are operating, their functions, and managing them. So that's my understanding of why they have more authority, if you want to call it that, than the mayor. But nobody is going to abuse that without risking their own position, with the city.
It may be helpful if we can, for about 5 minutes to go into executive session.
Sure.
I would make a motion that we go into executive session
For the purpose of,
for discussing personnel issues.
okay.
Need a
I'll second that motion.
Oh, I got to do the roll call, don't I? I forget I'm doing that. Where's my call list? Carr,
Yes.
Fairweather,
Yes.
Fiskus,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Sayer.
Yes.
Out of executive session.
Carr,
Yes.
Fairweather,
Yes.
Fiskus,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Sayer.
Yes.
All right, so you'll have a conversation with Chelsea about that, and then for today, I think we're tabling this portion of the conversation, is that correct? All right. Alan, do you have a recommendation on what specific portion to address next? I know that there were some more simple ones that you were going to work on language to return to us. So what we have 21 minutes left, what would make sense to continue a conversation on now?
Well, I think, basically how many items you want to put on the ballot is one thing to consider. But as we went through before, like with the meetings, I think I didn't prepare actual language, but just changes to that language. So I think that would be one that would be simple enough to explain why we're making those changes. The municipal clerk power and duties, if we could make those changes that were suggested. Probably what I would do is just start working on a report for you to submit, with those items in there. But is there anything else? I know there was a general discussion about term limits, I think, last time.
Yeah, we had term limits, recall,
provisions.
military leave,
Service, right?
and changing the primary date from September to May.
Yeah. I think if we tried to limit it to those issues for the first time on the ballot, that we can continue to meet and propose them for another election. But I think those are the main ones that I felt.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? Term limits?
Military leave,
Yep. Primary date.
recall, and primary date.
Is that on the ballot, is that a line item, or do you vote all or nothing?
You can present it either way. So if you do it, as a grouping, and it's either up or down for all the changes. So if somebody didn't like one thing in there, then they could all get shot down together.
Yeah, I
So
think
there-
we talked at the beginning about doing them separately. I thought we discussed
Uh-huh.
that.
Yes.
We did. There were
Right.
also some, less pressing, but kind of clerical.
Primary election, I think, right?
Well, there was contracts and fiscal matters, so there was the amount of expenditure
Right.
of municipal funds and the amount of, we talked about leaving that in. I guess my question is, for some of these simpler but less pressing issues, are we saying we're going to hold until the year after next on
Or
these?
you could either do that or maybe lump those together, the simpler ones, and, because you could present, these are one vote on these three items, put them together and then do the other ones separately. I think like we talked about last time, military leave, the way they put it on the ballot was just hard for people to ascertain what was going on. We put it out there, what the language actually was, that we were removing that provision, and I don't think people just understood that for whatever reason. And the same with the primary election. I think the Board of Elections has asked us to really look at that again to change it.
So for our next meeting in January, can you, again, primary election, that feels like a very straightforward piece to
Yeah.
write up and present back. Same with military leave, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. And like I said, I think I would change it this time a little bit on the military leave, but I'll show you the language that I was thinking of. Then I just need what your position is going to be on recall and term limits. and
So
what
those
type
are the
of
two that I
procedure.
think that we should
Get through
plan
quick.
to discuss. Not tonight. But I think if you can if at the next meeting, you can provide us back the language for primary election and military leave, we can do a short discussion on that, make sure that it's ready to go before council. So even if it's those two, they can get their 3 readings out of the way for that, so it's
Yes.
ready to present.
Yep.
Well,
And then-
they would still have to wait on the readings
So you have to do them all
Because-
at once?
because you have to time it up. If they pass it too soon, then it won't get on the ballot within there's a 60 to
Sure.
120-day window. So that's why the last one, we timed it up to be passed in July.
Okay.
So it fell within the 90 to 120-day window.
So let's still just get them crossed off of our
Yeah.
list.
Mhm.
And then I have contracts and fiscal matters, powers and duties as some more just standard changes to get us up to how things are actually operating. Is that correct?
Right.
So those would be 2 that we would lump together. I know we had some comments the last time about making sure that the excess of 75,000 stays in. I am blanking on what our other issue was with this one. Do you remember? Rick?
Well, we were talking about, a little bit about the powers, and I don't think that's something we're going to get into at the first round of what we're going to do.
So
I think
should we
you-
hold on both of these?
Pardon me?
Should we hold on both of these, contracts and fiscal matters, powers and duties?
I can put that together so you can look at it. But
Yeah.
then once you make a determination how you want to do, if you're going to put a recall provision out there, how you want to do it, kind of the terms for that, and I can work on that. And then term limits also, once you come up with a decision, I can do that. So I can put the other ones, the language together, and it would be ready to, for you to decide, do you want to submit that to council now or later,
Okay.
or
Okay.
defer it?
I hear the need for some of these changes with meetings, but if we are looking to limit, I don't feel like that's as pressing. What are your thoughts?
I'm with-
I would agree. I think if there's too much, people are
Yeah.
just going to zone out on it, and we're at a disadvantage already in not having a local newspaper to help explain
Yes.
some of these things.
The publication cost is going to be significantly higher because I think we're stuck with the Blade or Toledo Legal News for publication of this because it does have to be published or mailed to all people that voted, I think, at the last regular municipal election. So that's even more costly.
I mean, could it be included in the city update that is already mailed out?
Now, under the state law, it's got to be either mailed to the electorate or published. So last time we were able to publish the language in the Mirror because it'll be quite extensive what you have to publish.
So could we publish in the Blade or the Legal News, but then even though it is not the standard by which the state says we have to do it, couldn't it go out in the newsletter to all?
Sure, it can still go out in other forums.
Just
but
as,
I think they did that last time too,
Okay.
had access to it, but because nobody really reads those publications, unfortunately, that are in the paper, so to me,
Right.
that seems to be something that could be changed, but probably never happen either.
I won't speak for others on this commission, but I do think that I have a vested interest in figuring out, working with the city to find a way to do a robust campaign of information on this. And I'm sure that that is not just publishing. There are other
Right.
forums
Well,
that
I know
need to get
last
this
time we
information out.
spoke with Mike McCarthy a few different times, and he put out a couple different articles about why we're doing those things. And again, I don't know what his circulation was or how many people read those articles or decided they were skipping over that too, but,
It was very low percentage that had subscriptions, or,
right, so,
it's difficult, and it became more difficult.
So that feels like a good pausing point for today. The other thing I wanted to bring up, just as a matter of organization, was I think it might be nice if at the next meeting, we can really dig into one of the 2 other items we have on this list that are going to take some conversation, be it term limits or the recall provision.
I think term limits will be the one that would take lesser amount of time, Because the issue is only twofold. Is one, do you want to put it before the voters? And two, what would be the length of council, what would be the length of mayor?
Right.
I think that's, the recall is going to take more because there's a third thing. When you do term limits, you also have to make an effective date. Because if you don't, then any of the incumbents would be able to serve not only their existing term, but say for council members, three-term limit, they'd be able to serve their term, their second term, and then do 3 more. So you have to be careful on the language. Those are really the recall is just going to take a lot more to
Yeah.
clean up our charter. It's a mess, and it became a mess because of a Supreme Court decision, it was like November, December of 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's no way our charter could have been up, but it's not that it's insurmountable. It's going to take Alan some time to get a draft to us of for us to review the changes. And
Well, and we would want to discuss what those changes are.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I think I'm hearing is at this next meeting, we should plan to look into and discuss the term limits. John has provided us with some research he's done. Can you provide it back to us with the links so that we can, that'd be great.
Yep.
So the packet that you got today from Alan is the very large packet that you got will be what we dig into so that we can discuss it at the next meeting. And then John will make sure to return to Casey the document with the links so that if you are a librarian and you want to go back and read it yourself, you can do that.
Can we get this by email beforehand?
Yes, I will.
That's-
I
I
will.
sent those out.
This is my
Okay.
first time seeing it.
Yeah, and no need to worry about it today. And I will make sure to ask Casey to send that out.
And then I did have a question too. You said you already had wording for the military one?
That we did last time, but I think, like I said, I would probably revise that so it's not just eliminating that provision, but say, if you go on military leave, that you're not going to lose your council seat or something along those lines. So it's clear what we're doing, not just taking that provision out.
Okay, yeah, because we talked about like an interim if it's longer than
Right.
a certain time. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know that September primary date came about in 1951 because the founding fathers said when they were approving the charter for the voters, they had to hurry up and get it to the voters real quick. The best date that you get to figure out is the first and second Monday in September. So, there's no hard magic to that September date. If you tell the public, there's no hard magic with that date. Number one. Number two, it's just harmonizing, we're just bringing ourselves into conformity with all the other municipalities in the county. It's expensive for the Board of Elections sometimes. I don't think that should be didn't they try that in about 3 years?
yeah, we did.
It was lumped together with
Yeah.
a different provision that,
Yeah, partisan, nonpartisan,
yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
So, yeah, there is a cost associated with a September election to the city, so.
Okay, so with that, make sure I didn't miss anything. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
There it is.
Third,
Carr,
Yes.
Fairweather,
yes.
Fiskus, Lewis,
Yes.
Sayre.
yes.